Everyone is asking if Minnesota is going to experience a housing bubble when there's actually a different bubble happening right below our nose and no one is even talking about it. Last month, I had one of my single female clients call me and she was convinced she needs to sell her $750K Minnetonka home because home prices are going to go down and she doesn't want to lose out on her equity and be one of these people that loses everything in the bubble. When we talked about what's actually happening in the market, she completely shifted her mindset and is actually going to invest more in real estate in the upcoming year. Because here's what most people miss. When you actually understand what's happening in the real estate market and different strategies, there's more than one way to approach the market, and there's always a different strategy depending on the market that we're in. This isn't 2008, and here's why. Actually, before I dive into that, I want to explain why we're not in a bubble and what is actually happening in the real estate market. Look, I get it. People think it's really scary when they hear, on average, in Minnesota, homes have appreciated 43%. It seems like, oh my gosh, what if tomorrow the market corrects and I lose 43% equity in my home? But here's the major difference between now and what you saw in 2008 during the bubble. In 2008, people were doing what we call ninja loans. No income, no job, no credit. They literally just had to state on a piece of paper how they were going to qualify for their mortgage. Today, it is completely different. When I have clients buying 700, 800K homes, they're putting 20% down. They have 77 FICO scores. They have salary jobs and they have a 30% debt to income ratio. And across the country, citizens and Americans all over the country have more equity in their home than they've ever had before. There's trillions of dollars in equity. It is one of the largest assets we own. People aren't just going to walk away from that. One of the key things that creates a crash or a dip in prices is when speculation and easy borrowed money are what's driving the housing market. In Minnesota, that's not the case. What's driving the housing market in Minnesota is sheer demand by homeowners who qualify for qualified mortgages to purchase these homes. Bubble behavior or a market crash would be if we have a surplus of inventory and then all of a sudden home prices fall because people are just desperate to dump their homes or get rid of them. That's not what we have here in Minnesota. On average, we have a 2.9 month supply of inventory. To have even a balanced market, we have to have a 5 to 6 months of inventory. Okay, so here is the real bubble that no one is talking about, and it's creating an awesome opportunity for people to actually build wealth through real estate. The real bubble isn't with home prices, it is with rental rates. You guys, homes in Minnesota, average rent across the Twin Cities has increased 47% since 2020. A modest 2-bedroom home is renting for way more than people could have ever imagined. So the opportunity is purchase the home, have your mortgage be equal or less than what the rent can be, and have someone else paying that mortgage for you. Just this week, I spoke with a client. Their rent on the home that they're renting in St. Louis Park went from $2,200 in 2020 to $3,400 in 2025. They could have purchased this same home even 2 years ago, and their mortgage payment would have been $2,800 a month. So now they're paying more every single month in rent, and they own nothing. They're just paying down their landlord's mortgage for them. If you are one of the 120,000 people in Hennepin County who are currently renting and can afford to purchase a home, it might be time to reconsider and actually take the next steps to purchase a home instead of paying off someone else's mortgage. Even at a 6.75% interest rate, a lot of these properties could still cash flow or even break even when you rent them. And what a lot of people don't realize is you could move into a property, live there for 6 months or a year, go rent it out, and then do the same thing again with another property. That is how you build actual wealth. Specifically, what is so different in the state of Minnesota, though, is that we're kind of bubble protected and a little bit insulated here. Why? Minnesota has one of the most stable economies and diversified locations that there is. We are not 100% economically tied to one industry. Think of a city like Las Vegas. If the hospitality industry is hit, all of a sudden everyone is hit, impacted largely financially and can no longer afford the homes they're living in. If you flip to the other side and you think of a city like Minneapolis, we have 15 Fortune 50 companies headquartered right here in the Twin Cities. That is a huge diversity of jobs, lots of them with large salaried bonus positions, and a lot of people who can afford $500 to $1 million homes. Companies like United Healthcare, Target, 3M, you guys, they need housing. Their employees need housing. They need short-term rental housing. There is a huge opportunity to be buying a home and just having your home stabilize in price, but also buying investment properties for those who need it. We need to stop thinking of Minnesota like it's California, Florida, New York. We are not those economies. People in the Midwest are more likely to stay in the Midwest, stay in their homes, and have longevity here in their careers. So is Minnesota in a housing bubble, the traditional kind of housing bubble? No. There is not one statistic that would prove that we are in any kind of housing bubble or at any risk of having significant price decreases on homes. But here's the most important thing for people to know that they're totally missing. Right now, we are in a sweet spot. Let's call it the Minnesota sweet spot. And that sweet spot really is right now because home prices are still here and interest rates are still a little higher. So right now, there's only about 120,000 people who are currently renting who can afford to purchase a home. As we see interest rates come down, there's going to be a really large pool of people who can all of a sudden purchase a home. And that same home that maybe costs $300,000, you're going to quickly start seeing sell for $325,000, $330,000, maybe even $350,000. It'll feel very, very similar to what we saw in COVID times where rates dropped to 3% and all of a sudden people are paying $100K over asking for a home. If purchasing your primary residence or an investment property is on the docket for you in the next few years, I promise you now is the time to get to the market. On my next webinar, I'm going to be teaching exactly this, breaking it down, easy steps, how you can figure out yourself, what do I qualify for? Where should I even check my credit score? Teach you how to do the due diligence ahead of time so that you feel comfortable and confident going into the home buying process. And then we can of course connect when you're ready, talk through pre-approval, but I want to empower you and give you the resources to purchase whenever you're ready and feel confident about your financial situation so you don't miss out on that Minnesota sweet spot.